everybody. Welcome back to the Just Make It Pretty podcast. Today, we are talking about people-led brands and serving over selling. And I am so incredibly excited. I've got someone with me today that has so much energy and so much light. She's just like sunshine in a person. And I can't wait for you guys to hear everything that she has to say. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the slightly unhinged marketing podcast for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, also known as the Pixel Wizard, and my goal is to tackle the tough stuff that goes in behind the scenes in marketing and offer actionable tips, creative insights, and a little bit of humor to spark some creativity. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. My guest today is none other than Cassy Williamson. Hi, Cassy. Thank you so much for being on.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be so much fun.
It is. It's going to be so fun. It's already so much fun. Cassy Williamson is the strategic performance coach over at Impact 88. I've been super excited watching your guys' journey where you're helping sales leaders, marketing, you're doing a lot of coaching. I'm going to let you kind of dive into everything that you guys are doing over there, but it's super exciting. And you also have a brand new book out. So
yes.
Tell us all the things.
Yeah, so a little bit of background of me is I came from the world of healthcare and joined our crazy, awesome industry just a few years ago. I really worked my way from the online side to a director of sales and marketing to the chief evangelist role to now being a strategic performance coach at Impact 88. And so I've hopped around through all of those positions with really a thread and tie to leadership and service. That's always been what's grounded me is how can we make a difference? How can we make a positive impact? And my role now is so special because, Ryan, he is the greatest and he has created a space that I feel like is filling holes in the industry that were just chilling, that were just sitting there. And so I have been fortunate enough to get to launch our onboarding program, the New Hire Blueprint, which is one of our impact series. And it allows me to work with people who are new in the industry or maybe didn't have what they needed to create a really strong foundation. I mean, a lot of us build homes. We all know that you need a strong foundation to be successful for that thing to go up and do what it needs to do. And the same thing is said for our roles. So many of us, myself included, got thrown into the deep end, pretty much had the keys handed to us and said, good luck, go get them. Kind of Buddy the Elf, hope you find your dad. That's always what it felt like to me. And I'm like, thanks, Mr. Narwhal. It's just one of those things that I'm like, we need something to fix this. So I am leading that program. We're doing one-on-one coaching. We're doing sales training. We're getting ready to launch our coaching certification program. We've got so many cool things planned for 2026. But the idea behind everything that we do, and this is just a testament to our team and how we operate, is service. Like, how do we put people over the process? How do we show up with this service mindset? And I think it's true in all industries. When we see organizations that focus on that over the other things and allow people to show up and do what they're called to do, there's just success that flows out of that. And so that has been the coolest part about joining the team as the strategic performance coach, is that I get to love on people unapologetically myself while also being able to serve and hopefully make our industry better.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've loved, like I said, I've loved watching you guys kind of launch into the industry. You guys have amazing marketing. So I'm always
thank you. We have great people.
Your marketing.
I won't take any credit for that. None, zero, zip.
I love watching it, and I was really excited to see you were part of the team. And like I said, you have a new book out.
Yes.
Also has a very beautiful cover on it. And if you are listening, it is in the background of her video. So head over to YouTube so you can see it. But when is that officially launching?
Okay, total Godwink, Sarah. I just found out all the pre-order links are live. So that will be my next big drop, but you heard it here first, that my pre-order links are live. So really wherever books are sold, I would say if you're able to go to my website and order from there, that's only going to help me as the author, but you've got to do what's easy for you. So order wherever you find your books, but you can also visit CassyWilliamson.com to order those. And it's just so exciting because it launches in October, but I did just find out from my publisher that if you order from my website, you can actually get pre-orders before it drops in October. So if you're someone who's, I don't want to wait that long, and I don't want you to wait that long, that's an option. And I am so excited. Unapologetic is like my heart on paper. The people that I've been able to share it with so far are like, man, I thought I knew you really well. And then I read this book and it was just all these light bulb moments, because the idea is that I'm sharing a lot of my hardships, like the things that I went through, in hopes that it empowers the people reading it to embrace their unapologetic selves, while also, challenging their position, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a job, whether it's, the company that they're at. My hope and prayer for it is that it challenges people's mindset to lean into this unapologetic lifestyle, which is 110% me. And I know you know that, but it's not been an easy journey, and it's not something I'm absolutely perfect at either. I always share with people, I'm still in the trenches on this. Like, I'm functioning and fighting. I'm recovering from a lot of trauma. I'm recovering from a lot of, things that I have to unlearn. And I think that it's really important that we own that no one is perfect at everything. But if we're willing to talk about it with the people around us and build these strong tribes, we will be our very best selves. We will be able to lean fully into unapologetically who we were meant to be.
Yeah. Oh, I just admire anybody who's like doing that work too. Like, I am so glad that I'm a part of this generation, because like it's so inspiring to see people around you like going through all of those things
We're
and
doing the
like
work.
being, yeah, doing the work and being honest about, yeah, it's not perfect, but here we are. So I love that. I can't wait to read it.
Oh, I'm so excited to share it with you. And I think too, as someone, if you're a mama, if you're a working mama, if you had a good mama, it's one of those things that you're gonna read it. And some parts will be easy to read and other parts will be hard. And I think I had a really dear friend reach out and she was like, I haven't gotten through the book because for some reason I thought it was gonna be easy. And I've cried so much I have to stop and start and stop and start. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to take it. But there's so much that she has been able to resonate with that for her is like she has to process that as she's reading it. And my biggest thing with the book is that no one is alone. And if you're sitting in a position where you feel alone, I hope you read the book and know from the bottom of my heart you're not, and find me, reach out to me, connect with me, send me a message. My hope and prayer for this book is that someone who feels like they're alone being themselves knows that they have people and that there are people out there that will love them exactly as they are.
That's such a good message. So, see, everyone, I told you, she's sunshine in a person. That's the proof right there.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. I'm like, you're my biggest cheerleader right now. Thank you. But I do mean it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So that is what I really hope comes out of it, is just a tribe of people that are like, let's go. Let's lean all the way in to this unapologetic mindset. So we'll see.
I think it's going to be amazing. I know it's going to be amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to read it. And I can't wait to have this conversation today, too. I feel like this is something that both of us are really passionate about. But I want to get into unpacking this ripple effect of service-driven leadership, but also because it's really important, but I feel like it's been so like buzzworded,
Mm.
everybody says it. And then it's, what does it actually mean? How do we actually put it into effect? What does it actually do?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is just going to be such a good conversation with you about that.
Yeah, I think for a long time we have talked about how important this is. So now everyone feels like they need to say it. It's almost like using the word cool, or a word that we've all said way too many times. And
Mhm.
for me, I'm like, I can prove that this has been around in my mindset for a long time. This right here, if you're watching, those are the lyrics to a song I wrote in high school called Make a Difference, which in another lifetime, my sister and I were in the music industry. And it's this idea that everyone has the power to make a difference and serve and lead without a title, without a platform, without the biggest following, without the most money. The song is about a teacher I had, my pediatrician, and a soldier, which was my dad. That's where it all transpired. And it's this idea that if we just show up to serve others, we will make a difference. And that's how we change lives. That's how we make the world better. But it has gotten a little buzzwordy. It has gotten trendy, if we want to say that. And I think, in anything in life, words are empty without action, and our actions speak much louder than words. And so I love all the LinkedIn posts and I love all the great graphics, and here's how you cultivate the servant leadership and the culture that follows. But it's, I would love to see, what does that look like in action? Because it's easy to say or easy to share, but are you actually doing things that put those things into play?
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's such something that like everybody says, but
Mhm.
like their actions don't really reflect it?
Honestly, unapologetically, I think people have good intentions. I really do. I don't think most people show up trying to, like, pour out someone's milk in their Cheerios. I really don't. I think that most of the time people have good intentions. Of course, there's always exceptions to that rule, but when sales slow down, or when the numbers don't look good, or business starts to get hard, or we lose profit, or we don't have the margins. I think that's when you start to have hard conversations, especially with your leaders, who then are going to turn around and run out to the people on their teams and funnel that right out. And so I think from the top down, we have to be super conscious of how we show up when adversity hits, which in the world of new home sales right now, we are in an adverse market. And so the way that you're talking to your teams, the things that you're focusing on are all dictating what kind of culture you're creating around this idea of servant leadership. So I think it's almost, buying a great outfit or like purchasing the home gym. Like you have really good intentions. Like it's there. You invested, you believe it, it's important, but are you going to actually take the time to put on your workout clothes and go do the work? Because it's two different things. And especially when things get busy or hard or, there's diversity. It's hard to hold on to that. And so I think that's why we see it. I do feel like people want to show up this way. I just think sometimes that, the market or whatever you've got going on in your life pulls you in another direction and you forget and you fall back into bad habits.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And totally feel called out. I totally have done that too. The home
We
gym
all
thing,
have.
absolutely in my house.
We all have done it. And we don't just do it
Yeah.
like with our teams. I also think we do it in our relationships. Like maybe it's your partner, maybe it's, your kids, maybe it's your friends. Like I do think for the majority of people, we have good intentions. But at
Oh,
the
yeah.
same time, it's so easy to backslide when it gets hard or when, you're busy or when it's, challenging. It's just, whoops, we fall right back into that old routine. So if you're not intentional and it's not on the front of your radar, it will go to the wayside. That's just my thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one of the things that I'm always talking about is like we have to unite sales and marketing and like we
Mhm.
have to get everyone on your team. We're all working for the same goals. We have to get everybody on the same page and working together. And it sounds like such a like basic concept. Every time I talk about it, I'm like everyone in the audience is probably being like, duh, but at the same time, like it's still something that is not working on all teams and it's not something that happens all the time. And I think it's the same thing. I think if more people had this mindset and we were able to cultivate this better within our companies, like those other issues would also resolve themselves.
Mhm.
But I've heard from a lot of leaders and things like that is that's not the culture in my company, or they're just in this like ego driven culture.
Mhm.
So I'm never quite sure, what do you say to that? Like how do you respond to that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we've all been there. I've got a whole chapter about this in the book. And I think there's a couple of different routes you can take. First of all, I believe wholeheartedly with everything I've got, you don't need a title to lead. So you can show up as a leader in your space every single day by the choices and actions that you make and take. So that is where it starts, whether you're at the right seat at the table or you're sitting at the right table, you're in the right culture or not. How are you showing up as a leader? And when I think about leadership, I think about how do you treat everyone, not just the people on your team, not just the people that are above you, but like, how do you talk to everyone around you? Customers, back office, admin, top C suite, like that needs to be a consistent. I do not feel like you can be a strong leader if you do not know how to practice kindness. I just don't. I think that you will not have people's respect if you are not kind. And there's a difference between being kind and authoritative, and you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. You can lead with authority while also still being kind. And so that's one thing. But on the other hand, you also have to look at the culture as a whole and ask yourself if it is a culture where change is promoted. Are you sitting in a seat where they are open and receptive to feedback, to ideas of change, to new processes, to maybe trying something different? I've been a part of organizations that were and allowed me to just come in and wreak havoc and do crazy things. When I was in grad school, I didn't even have a job yet. And the hospital that I was interning at let me bring the book how to fill a bucket, be a bucket filler. It's like a book for kindergartners with this plastic bucket. And we were doing this team building exercise that me, the graduate intern, read this book to the team about how to be a bucket filler and not a bucket dipper. So if you're someone that's like, no, I can't say that. I'm like, no, yes, you can. I didn't even have a job there. I was not on payroll. And I was trying to facilitate change within the culture because I felt like we needed to work on, showing appreciation for the people on our team. So you have to look at that. If you feel like you're sitting in a space that is not open or receptive, which I've been there too, and you've given it time and you feel like you've showed up the way that you needed to consistently, then you have to ask yourself a hard question. Am I sitting in the right seat and am I sitting at the right table? And the idea here is, do you have the right role to really thrive, succeed, and lead? And maybe you do, but you're in the wrong culture. Or maybe you're in the right culture, but you're definitely not where you should need to be. I just talked to a person who went from marketing to sales and then sales to OSC and then back to sales. And she's still trying to figure out like where her seat is. And that's fine. She's
Yeah.
young. I'm like, you go, girl, just hop around, figure it out, dip your toes in the water. You don't have to pick your favorite beach right now. Like you've got time, but she loves the culture. She loves the culture and she knows she's in a place where she can facilitate growth. I think the idea is that if you feel stuck in an ego driven culture or a culture that is not open to change, you've got to start exploring options that serve you. Because one thing that I will say time and time again, and there's a whole chapter in the book called Time and Jimbo, and it's my nod to my dad, is we are not guaranteed time. And you can work your way, like life away at a job, and you will be replaced tomorrow if you were to leave.
Yeah.
You can give it all. You can pour it all out onto the table and show up with 110%. But if you were to quit tomorrow, or if God forbid something happened to you, they would replace you. And so if you don't feel fulfilled and served and like you are able to grow into your biggest purpose, do not stay. Now, I share this in the book. This is not my way of saying quit your job, don't pay your bills, and say that this girl, Cassy, said to do this. That's not what I'm saying. Have a plan. But like, I think we all have good, like, I think all of us are like, oh yeah, I'll look at it in a couple months, or I'll think about it in a little bit. And then we blink and it's Christmas again, or the 4th of July, like a half a year has gone by and we're still miserable. And I think this is why a lot of people end up stagnant. Whereas for me, I am so aggressively the opposite. I'm like, oh, this is not working. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to try to make a shift. And then if I don't see that, I'm not going to wait around. I'm not going to wait around to change it because I know what I bring to the table. And this goes back to knowing your worth, knowing what you contribute, being unapologetically you and owning it. It's not a jail out of free card. It's not like that's not what it is, but it's just knowing your why and what you want to bring and where you can bring that.
Yeah. Yeah. That comes with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
So much confidence. But I think a lot of people too, it's fear. It's
Mm-hmm.
a fear driven thing. It's like, what if I can't get the next job? Or,
Yeah.
what if this and that happens? And so I think that's a huge driver for a lot of people is just you have to build up that confidence to trust yourself in those situations and to not be afraid of like stepping on other people's toes and
Yep.
you're doing that. Like you say that, I think when you said holding hands without stepping on toes or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
This is like my
Like,
favorite phrase right now that accidentally transpired that now I'm like, this is great. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt.
yeah, it's so good because I think it talks to a lot of what those fears are. They want to do it, but they're like afraid or whatever. I don't know. I
I
feel a lot of that from people that I talk to.
Yeah, I think the fear too, though, is put in the work for yourself first. And this is a lot of what's in the book. There's a lot of work, like little questions and exercises, and how do you dig into this for yourself? I think you have to do the self work first and figure out the confidence and what should I be doing and where I should be going. And if you don't know how to do it, that's when you either lean into your tribe or you lean into someone who can help get, a mentor, a coach. I've had a lot of people pour into me over the years that have reminded me of this stuff when I forgot. Because again, functioning and fighting over here, it's not all rainbows and sunshines. There are a day when I wake up and I'm like, I can't do this. What the heck was I thinking? And so I think it's in those moments of self doubt and fear, you have the people around you who are willing to breathe life into you when you can't into yourself. And I think as women, we struggle with asking for help. I just do. I think we're like pride, and everyone else's life is on fire. And I think that is another part of it is you have to recognize when it's time to work on yourself, get the help, ask for help, put in the work, and then see where you end up. And for anybody struggling with this fear, I hope listening to this allows you to feel comfortable. Reach out to me. I love doing this for people. I have these conversations all the time. If I can help someone find their why, find their confidence, find their voice, like that's the win. I mean, it's not ironic that my degree and master's was speech therapy. I wanted to help people find their voice. That's where all of it started for me. And so now I'm getting to do that in a different way. But it's not to say it's not hard, but if you've got to get comfy with being uncomfy. Like you have to be. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
For sure. Yeah. And having a tribe around you is such a life upgrade.
Yes,
Like
it
no
is.
other. I remember early in my career, I had nobody. It was me
Right.
and a broken recliner chair that was my office and my baby like laying next to me. And it was just
Yes.
so isolating. And
Isolating.
I get it. And so having that tribe is just so much more important than you'll ever think. If you don't
Yeah.
have it, that's such a big upgrade for you.
Yeah. And I think too, that goes into being uncomfortable. If you don't have it, like you have to fight for it. Like you really do that. That's the trend. And I probably sound like a broken record, but I didn't have a tribe for a long time. I had my husband who's claimed me for a long time, who I would not be here without, but he was my best friend forever. I didn't have a circle. I didn't have a good group of people around me. It wasn't until later in life, but I started getting really uncomfortable with asking people to go to coffee or have a virtual date or do XYZ so that I could build relationships with people and got outside my comfort zone because you're not alone and you shouldn't be. And there are people who want to show up for you like you're showing up for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are out there. And like you said, like so many people have such great intentions and they have
Mhm.
these, desires, and it's actually such a gift to them for you to reach out and ask for this. And I know those people also are trying to build this inside their companies. They're trying to build these
Yes.
cultures inside their company. And it can be difficult. It's a lot of, roadblocks in that and aligning teams and all of that. So I'd love to hear like what your recommendations would be for that, like if you're trying to build that in your company.
Yeah. So you're referencing like building bridges between teams where you feel like there are the roadblocks, you feel like there is isolation. Is that what
Yeah,
you're,
and
yeah.
like just building the culture where like people are comfortable to be able to do this and with
Huh.
that like support system within your teams company wide.
Sure. So I think the biggest thing from a top tier perspective is promoting a culture of failure. Like to explain to your team, and I mean this is something I used to communicate at onboarding. Hey, this is an environment where we want you to learn through messing things up. Like I would rather have someone try and make a mistake than sit there in fear of messing it up because I one of the things that I talk about is the unapologetic leader loop, and it's this idea that when we empower someone, action comes, and with action you'll have growth, and then with growth you have a repeatable system where you're just empowering this person to grow and lead and show up unapologetically in your organization. And so if we don't empower the people on our team to do their jobs, to feel like it's okay to make a mistake, to feel like it's okay to have a hard conversation with us, to come to us with maybe an issue or maybe something they feel like they can make better, we are failing as leaders because nothing will change, nothing will grow, nothing will evolve if we aren't doing that. And the truth of the matter is, if our people don't feel safe to do that with us, they're definitely not instilling that confidence into the customers or the people that we're selling to. So it all starts on the inside. And I think if we focus on that first, then this flows into the people that we serve, whether it's a product, whether it's a customer, whether it's a, partnership with another business. I think the idea is that when we, empower our teams to come to us to try it out, even if you're going to mess it up, and to look at the situation as a way to learn and grow, they will succeed. And I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I made mistakes when I first got in the industry because I knew nothing, but I was like so stubborn and so set on figuring it out that I learned a lot through failing. And I am not the best at everything, but I will be the first to try. And I think that's what I would challenge people to do is don't feel like you have to be the best, but be willing to be the first to try. Show up and try, because people will respect you for that. They really will. And a lot of times there's people right there alongside of you who want to do the same thing and maybe just don't feel like they can. So empower the people around you through showing up that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fail stories are always good for the
Oh,
future books.
they're great learning. They're great learning. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of moments, and for me, I'm always just failing is learning the hard way. That's just what it is. And we're in situations right now in our own life that I'm like, whoo, we are learning this the hardest way possible, but we're learning, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And I like what you said. I kind of want to go back to something you said too, because you were talking about how this all kind of trickles down, right? Like
Hmm.
not it's gonna eventually it's gonna go for your leadership to your team and then to your customer.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about, how much your internal culture affects your buyers
Yeah.
and like how important that is.
Yeah, I think we see this like on a bigger scale in organizations and brands that we know and love. When I think about the teams and cultures, there's a company right now, and I'm totally blanking on their name, but they're two sisters that own it, and they've decided to start paying for childcare for all of their employees. Have you seen this? It's been all over the news.
Mhm.
And maybe we can put their name in the show notes at some point because I'm totally spacey, but to give them credit. But the idea is
Yeah,
like, all these women on their team, and this is a female owned and operated, and not to say that that is the reason, but like they recognize what's really important to the people on their team. And I can guarantee that those women are coming to work, showing up for their jobs, for their customers, for their community with just this like unheard of, out of the park, effort, drive, willingness. Like I know that if I am in an organization that takes care of me and respects me and leads me, I'm coming to the table with 110% for the people that we serve. If it's the opposite, if you're treating your people like crap or you're leading with fear, do you really think they're going to sit in front of the people you're serving with confidence, clarity, and joy? No, they're probably hanging on for dear life. I mean, it's like, this to me, and like you were saying earlier, some of this seems so simple, but yet we cannot figure it out. And it's like, why? And I do think it's because you get sucked into the doom loop of we're behind on our numbers and we didn't hit this metric and we didn't hit this goal. But it's if you slow down a little bit and think about the people who you need to make that happen and pour into those people, there's a big shift. And we see this going, and we also see the opposite. Like I think that when you look at cultures that are really big and then you look within our industry at cultures that are smaller, it's like the people that are doing this well have better results than the people who aren't.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and we kind of overlook too, like that those cultures, like it really affects your personal emotions. Like it's
Yeah, your
very
mental
hard to
health.
yeah, your mental health and so many things. So it's really hard to be like in a situation where it's, not the best in your company
Mhm.
and then turn around and just be like, "Oh, yay." And
Yeah.
it doesn't come across as authentic because it's not. And like
No.
we're not built as humans to be able to do that.
Yeah. And people always made the joke to me that I could sell anything. And I'm like, not really, because if I don't like it, I'm not selling it. Like I can sell what I believe in and what I feel like is beneficial or what I feel like serves that person. And that's where it is authentic and genuine and a care. But that's only because I believe in what I'm doing and selling. And I think that's something we have to consider too. And I mean, this is I believe really true for marketing. I remember because for a long time I had to do all of our social posts. Like I owned it. We didn't have a marketing person. I was the marketing person with zero experience. So that was a thing in itself. Lots of learning, lots of failing. But if you're not excited about your brand or if you don't believe in, can you imagine how hard it is to sit there and try to think of content or
Yeah.
try to create some sort of strategy around how we're going to get XYZ to happen when you're like, I don't even want to be here in an hour. So, how the heck am I going to make XYZ just magically pop up? Like, I think
Mhm.
that every aspect of our businesses are negatively impacted when we don't take care of the people that are like that are a part of it.
100%. I could not agree more. And on the marketing side, that's why like a lot of, myself included, like marketing companies that offer these services, they're really selective about the businesses that they work with because
Yeah.
it feels really yucky to be like making this, oh yeah, this company's amazing and come buy our stuff and see our people. And like inside everyone's miserable and like
Right.
horrible. It just does not feel good.
And it's also like when you're talking to your friend about where you work, I used to ask we had a survey and we'd be like, would you recommend a friend working here? And for me, the idea was that I was not going to hire everyone's best friend. But if they didn't want to tell their best friend to work for us, then we were messing up somewhere because you wouldn't be recruiting the people you know and love to come into a space that you didn't also know and love. You'd be like, run, don't do it, go anywhere else, buy anything but, it's one of those
Yeah.
situations. It's a poison, it's a cancer. And I don't think people realize how much it impacts their brand and their brand presence when their culture is not being taken care of.
For sure. Yeah. And even beyond, your buyers are seeing when they come in, it's like the
Mhm.
messaging and the your website, like it really does bleed into so many places. And
Mhm.
I don't think that's talked about enough at all.
No, no. And I think that's just because it's a lot easier to ignore it than acknowledge that as part of the impact. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's we can't easily fix that right now. So what can we fix and what can we look at? But I do think that then impacts your longevity and your success over time. I also think it impacts your ability to show up when it does get hard. And I think this is where we see certain brands last through whatever the market is doing, or certain, organizations, and others that dissolve. Because if you're not willing to slow down and take the time to take corrective action with a lot of these things, it may not hurt you right now, but it will eventually catch up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've heard you say multiple times, you're like, slow down. That's
Slow
like the
down.
number one thing. What other things do you feel like people could do to start, recognizing this and like
Mhm.
trying to rebuild this trust and alignment within their company?
I think it starts with communication with your people. And I don't think that's through a survey that's anonymous that you send out as a forced initiative. I don't
Yeah.
think that's it. I think it's, are you taking your people to coffee? Are you taking your people out to lunch? Are you talking to your people about what their life looks like right now? Are you aligned with the people on your team's why? If you can't tell me why someone does what they do for you, then you probably need to go and have a conversation, especially when you're sitting on the side of sales. We all have challenging roles, and we spend more time with the people we work with than we do with our own families. So why are we there? What is the point? Why is that person in front of you? And I think that the way to start making corrective action is through conversations with the people on your team who you value and who you can build relationships with. And then, when you're bringing new people on, this is a fresh start to say, hey, here's how we operate. This is the culture. This is the language we speak. And these aren't just pretty words on the poster when you walk in our corporate office. This is actually what we practice. And then what I would say is, if for some reason you don't feel this or you don't see this alive, my ask to you as the newbie is to come to me and talk to me about it. Because I think our newbies have a superpower of showing us where our weaknesses are, where people who've been in the organization longer have just either turned a blind eye or gotten used to it. Like, it's become the normal. So I would lean on my newbies a lot to be like, how do you feel like it's going? What are the rumblings out there? Was this what you thought it was going to be? Do you feel like we emulate these core values that we talk about at the start of every meeting? And so I think the big work happens with little intentionality, like the little conversations, the text messages to check in, taking someone to coffee, having lunch with your team, so that you create trust with them, just like we would with anyone that we're trying to bring into our doors from a customer perspective. And so that they can start talking to you, because people will not have hard conversations with you if they don't feel like they have trust, because they're going to be scared. They'll be driven by that fear. And so my hope always is that people feel comfortable enough with me to have hard conversations, even if it's, not the way that I wanted it to go. I still really respect people who are willing to say the things that others aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like leading into the newbies. I think, in a lot of companies I've worked with, they're like the newbies, like you have to impress them, or like it's all about like them just learning and
Mhm.
not about what they can actually give you right away. So
Yeah.
that's a really good insight, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you hired them for a reason. I hope it was because you felt like they could do the job and not because you interviewed 20 people and they were the only ones who responded to your call, which could be happening, I guess. But like, it's so hard right now to find good people. So if you made this hire, give them some value, put some weight into what they're willing to share. And also, I don't know about you, but for me, if I have a leader coming to me and wanting my input like that, I'm feeling valued. I'm feeling trusted. I'm like feeling really good about my decision with joining this team. So it goes both ways. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. It's interesting, we're a remote company, and I feel like
Mhm.
too, in remote companies, or even if only part of your team is remote, you really have to be super intentional about that, because you're not in
Yeah.
the office every day. Those
Mhm.
like passing moments where you can build these things organically aren't
Yeah.
there.
Right.
So it really has to be top of mind for remote
Mhm.
companies too.
Yeah. And I think that's where, I mean, we're so lucky to have Zoom and all these virtual offerings because I am all about a good virtual coffee date. Because I'm also remote and I miss people and I miss hugging people. I miss patting people. And my poor husband gets it now way more than he wanted. My kids get way more love than they probably because I am such a touchy feely and I don't have that. And so, I'm all about hopping on a virtual coffee date because, I mean, for me, getting off these kinds of conversations or getting off a call with someone that you work with, it's a cup filler. Like, we need it. We crave connection. No one wants to be alone on the island. I mean, there's a couple people, and I understand introverts who are out there, but you still need connection. You still need that people time, and so you have to be intentional.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
just I mean, this is totally kind of off topic, but personally for me, I always said, "Oh, I'm an introvert. Like, I don't need people." And I've been remote for over 10 years now, but starting this podcast has been exactly that. It's a cup filler. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I realize my passion is just talking to people."
Yes, and it's super intentional and it connects you to
Yeah.
maybe people you never thought. I always make the joke, I will ask anyone out on a date, and I have been shameless about this. Like, I'll message someone on LinkedIn or I'll send them an email if I see something they like. And I have met some of the greatest people. Some of my closest friends have been from shameless, do you want to go on a date? You want to have a coffee date? Now, it's just dating. They don't always go well and you're like, "Oh, this is the first but last." But when it does work out, it's totally worth it. So yeah, I think if you're someone who's listening and you're feeling isolated in your position, what can you do to connect? And also, I would never shy away from asking this of your leaders if you don't have it. Let's say you're not a leader listening and you're feeling like you're sitting on the island or you're feeling like you're craving this connection. There is nothing wrong with asking your leader to go grab lunch or go grab a coffee. To me, that's how you show up without a title. That is what a leader would do. And in that conversation, it's totally fair to say, "Hey, I just needed some time to connect with you. I feel like we haven't got to catch up. I've got stuff going on. You probably have got stuff going on." Because at the end of the day, you guys, your leaders are people too. And life is life and for all of us. That is just the year of 2025. I'm like, holy cow, we're over halfway there. And it's just, we have to show up as people. We have to remember to show up as people.
Yes. Yeah, that's so powerful. I can hear that a lot on LinkedIn. People are like, it's LinkedIn, so we need to be super professional all the time. And I'm just like, yeah, but people are still people on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Like, people
Yeah.
are still people at conferences. Like, yes, you need to be professional and not be crazy, but connect with people. That should be your
Yeah.
main goal.
And I think too, this is just something that for me, I have always done is I had a leader tell me last year, and it was probably the greatest compliment I've ever received, was that I am able to show up and love on people and be kind of this break the mold leader while also still having authority and leading well. And for me, that is the win. I think it's great if we can break some of these barriers of formality and uptightness and feeling like we have to show up a certain way, because the fact is, people need what we want to give them, what you can give, what I can give, that. People need it. That's the whole reason we have it in the first place. That's why I'm like, show up unapologetically. You won't be for everybody, but for the people you're meant for, you're going to serve them in a really big way. And so I love the idea of breaking down this barrier of, you don't have to sacrifice your professionalism by taking things too seriously. That's
Yeah.
just, those two things can go out. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah. Yeah. You really created this as like your whole brand. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
when you walk into the room, this people know even without you having to go through, I wrote this book and here's why, like it's you now. And I think that's so powerful. And I also think we talked about like corporate brands, but like personal brands like are
Mm,
really important too. And like you do not have to be a leader to have a personal brand.
no.
But it's so impactful.
Yeah.
So I would love if you would share like how this has impacted your career or like the companies that you worked with having this kind of personal brand around you.
Yeah. So I think for me, we dedicate a whole week to building a brand in the New Hire Blueprint because that's how important it is to me. I think that we're in a time where people want to know about the people they're engaging with. And I'm not saying that you share page 8 of your journal with all of your life's stuff on it if you want to, cool, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that people connect with other people. We've talked about this. Like, we are really beating a dead horse now. But like,
Yeah.
when you humanize yourself through
Mhm.
your personal brand, you become someone that they know and trust and that they'll interact with, whether it's they feel comfortable coming to you with a question, whether it's something coming to you about leveraging your services, or whether you become a trusted resource. I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in without my intentionality around my personal brand. So like, I send bomb videos like it's my job, and I should probably have a frequent flyer referral discount punch card for bomb, and we can tell them that. Like, I believe so heartily in video messaging and humanizing yourselves and being able to share energy. I also write thank you notes. I love a good thank you card. Getting mail is fun. So if I don't know someone, but they were able to pour into me in some way, I try to get an address for them. I normally ask the person that's on their website for a P.O. box so I don't sound like a weirdo. One of our things is don't be a weirdo, to send a thank you card. Like, I
Yeah.
think that there, and then all of that ties into when I show up like online, a lot of people know that about me because that's how I poured into them without maybe even doing it on that public platform. But then I share things about myself, my life, what I'm doing, that people can be like, oh, this is Cassy. This is how she shows up. You're going to get a hug. You're going to get big hugs. You're going to get lots of love. You're going to get energy. You're going to get the Cassy hands. Like, it's just showing people who you are so that you can be a resource to them if that's what your role is. I hope and pray all the time that if people see something in mine that they can resonate with, that they know that they can reach out to me about it. Like, I don't really care what people think, and you really can't when you have this personal brand. But I do care that people who engage with it, that it's meant to serve, know that it is for them. And that's why I do it. Like, I hope that what I share in my stories and my hardships empower the people listening to get through whatever they're going through. Everyone is going through something, everyone is fighting a fight that we really normally don't know about. And so, how can we show up for each other? And I think when you have a personal brand, and you leverage it, you build confidence and authority behind the things that you do share. And you become a trusted advisor. And I am not the expert. Like I always say, I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I surround myself with really smart people so that I continue to learn and grow. And so it just goes back to being uncomfortable and leaning into the things that scare you and putting the video out there, sharing the message, talking about whatever you learned from that day, because you never know who's going to need to hear it. And a lot of times I will get messages after posting something that's, oh my gosh, I really needed to hear this today. Or, oh my gosh, this happened to me, blah, 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 blah. And in that
Mhm.
moment, I'm like, that's who it was there for. It didn't matter if anyone else saw it. But I do feel like it has to be genuine and authentic. You should not be showing up trying to be someone else, because that's not you. And there's only one you. That would be my big advice, is show up as authentically, unapologetically you, and you will make a positive impact, and you will see the success that comes from that, because a personal brand helps elevate you, but it also elevates the people around you. It's like, one of my favorite books is Go Giver. Like, we need to pour into people, and all that goodness will pour back around.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think when you say, "Oh, you need to build a personal brand," like people are like, "Ooh," like they
Yeah,
get like,
scary.
scared by it, and
Mhm.
because it seems like such a big topic or like a lot of things. But I think just taking that one step of I'm gonna share something that means something to me, or I'm gonna figure out what your values are and then start sharing around those things, I think would be like my first step.
Yeah.
But it's scary, it's weird.
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
It
when you
is.
start putting out personal things like that, it's scary. But when you get those comments, like you said, like someone's like, "Oh, I needed to hear this," that is just the best feeling. Like
Yeah.
I just love those moments because I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. I think that's where your personal brand should be really aligned with your why. What makes you uniquely you? What do you bring to the table that you don't feel like other people can? And there's a lot of people doing the same things, but they're all doing it different ways. And I think you also have to be aligned, because I do know some companies that don't necessarily support personal brands. So, like, you have to be conscious of that. You have to have open conversations. You have to think about what's important to you and your mission. But I also think if you're in a place where you're trying to grow and elevate yourself, personal brands do help. Like, it's just, and it doesn't mean you have to create this online present. Personal brands are what people think of when your name is said. And like, when you say, when you say Cassie or Human Sunshine or it's high energy or it's hugs, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that's not because I was taking videos of myself hugging people and posting it on Instagram. So I think it's really important that people recognize the personal brand is what people think about when your name is said in rooms that you're not in. And so it doesn't have to be the online presence. It can, but it also can just be how you show up in the spaces that you're in when you're trying to serve the people around you. And I think if you remember that, all the other things will fall into place.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people think like brand and they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to have a logo. And it's
Yeah.
your personality is the logo. You don't need
Yes.
a like your name written out to be a
Yeah.
personal brand.
Yep.
So anyway, this has been so awesome. I love this. I feel like I have so many more things to add. I have to keep my episode short, so it's like a drive home length. So
Yes,
so
I get it.
hopefully all of our listeners got like a bunch of tips. I'm going to read your book. I know there's a bunch more in there. But before we go, I would love for you to kind of share if you had to choose one thing,
Mhm.
like one like mindset shift is what I always ask is what can they do to start this like today?
Yeah, I think that the biggest hierarchy thing is do the work on yourself first. So how are you showing up? How are you, what is your thought process like? What do your actions look like? Whether you're a leader or not a leader. And then once you've started doing the work on yourself, you can really pour that into other people, whether it's your team or the people around you. So I would say if you're looking at how do I grow? How do I make myself better? The idea is what work are you doing for yourself today that's going to make you better for tomorrow? Because we all, again, will just full circle. I say this on my husband and I's podcast, so he would laugh so hard. Full circle moment. We talked about being intentional and slowing down. What time are you taking today to plan for being better tomorrow? And I think we all are guilty of going through the motions and living the Groundhog Day and then being like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And so being super intentional and blocking the time for you and treating it like an appointment with someone that's not yourself is the first step to living just, this really unapologetic, full life where you can be all that you're supposed to be. And if that's something that you struggle with, reach out. Like, I love that. Those are my favorite conversations. Like, I think you have to get really intentional about doing the work on yourself if you want to implement any of these things with a team or a culture or the place that you show up or in your relationships. And if you've already checked the self work box, cool. Now let's do that work on the people around you.
Yeah. Ah, amazing. Okay. All right, everyone is going to want to reach out to you now. So tell us again, what are the best ways to get into contact with you?
Yeah, so Impact 88, you can visit us online. You can follow us on Instagram. You can go to my page, CassyWilliamson.com. So Sassy Cassy, Cassy, not to be confused with an IE. That's how you remember. If you're looking to follow the book, follow me on LinkedIn, connect on with me on Instagram. I'm pretty much everywhere. Just throw it in the Google and you'll find me. But I'm here. I'm so excited to have spent this time with you. Keep doing what you're doing, Sarah. You have a light that you're shining, and I love it. Love cheering you on from afar. I'm just grateful for you and our time together today.
Thank you. Awesome. I thank you for being on. I always appreciate everybody like donating their time to me to talk
Yeah.
to me for those things because I get so much out of this and I hope our listeners do too, but I
Yeah.
do. So it's totally worth it. For all of our listeners, please go check out Cassy and come back for our next episode as well. Next week we'll be doing another episode with an amazing guest. So please come back, give us a follow, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.